Hey, lovely ladies. How are we all? Welcome to this episode of Coach Caris podcast, Itchy, Bitchy and Guests. Today, I know, you're so excited. I am going to speak about the difference between being tired and being lazy. So midlife fatigue, right, is a thing. Never actually thought it was a thing, right? And I have given myself so much grief for just about the whole year that I spent ditching my training, sitting on the sofa, eating Haribo, scrolling on the socials, right? Because I just thought I turned into a lazy cow, right? But just because you're knackered, right, it doesn't mean that you're lazy. And I want you to try and think about where you're at in your life at the moment, right? And if you are sitting on the sofa more, not moving more, saying no in more social events, not sleeping particularly well, that there is a chance that you're actually perimenopausal or menopausal. You've got actual midlife fatigue, all right? So all of the symptoms of the perimenal, to be fair, come down to lack of hormones, but a lot of midlife symptoms come from lack of hormones as well, or our fluctuating hormones. So, right, you need to remember as well that a lot of the time we've been under feeling ourselves forever. How many of you can put your hand up and say, oh yeah, I've actually been on a diet for about 30 years, all right? So we've been running on empty for decades, all right? We're juggling careers. Quite a lot of us have been promoted at this time in our life, all right? So you've worked your way up, etc., etc. Right, you've got kids, you've got partners, you've possibly got elderly parents. And on top of all that, you've got the absolute sheer mental exhaustion of trying to keep up the pretense that you've got your shit together, right? When let's face it, none of us have got our shit together. I know you all look at me on the socials and think, oh my God, she's smashing it. I'm kidding, by the way. I am an actual riot sometimes, all right? Right, but we still beat ourselves up. Especially when things like, oh, I'm just going to patch that spin class and I'm just going to sit on the sofa instead, right? And then we start guilting ourselves about it, when sometimes you actually just need some rest. So I'm going to break down the difference between genuine tiredness and fatigue, right, and just being lazy. But they're not the same thing. They are absolutely not the same thing, right? And if you've went from being fairly energetic, always on the go, jumping out your bed in the morning, always up for this, always up for that, to somebody that cannot literally be fucked getting off the sofa, then there's a reason for that, all right? Your whole personality just hasn't changed. There's a reason for it, and we're going to sort it out for you, all right? So that's where we're at the moment. And also, just to back up my theory, now I did a social media post on this during the week, right, because I've been listening to all the midlife ladies that I interact with, right, in my Ladies at Lift session, in my online coaching nutrition programme, the Midlife Reset, and also just people that I speak to randomly, whether it's in the gym, whether it's in the street, whether it's in the supermarket, and just people that message me on social media, right? And tiredness and fatigue is one of the biggest shockers of the perimenopause, I must admit, because we're so used to going along and keeping our shit together, all right? So quite often as well, somebody will say to me, do you know, if I say to them, how are you? Well, you know, I'm a wee bit tired, but do you know, I'm still going to the gym 5 days a week. I'm still getting up at 5 o'clock. I'm still looking after the kids. I'm still running the kids about to their after school clubs. I've been to a couple of funerals this week. Do you know, my job's really busy. And you're like, fuck me. No wonder you're knackered. Do you know, sometimes you just actually need to take some time out. So we need to try and put an end to this battling through everything and just getting through everything. Like, just getting through the day. I don't want you to get through the day. I want you to be living your life and having like the best time and living your best life. Absolutely. All right. So, like I said, you're juggling work, family, life. All right. Your sleeping is maybe not the best. Your sleeping can be a bit sketchy. It is a perimenopause symptom. All right. A midlife symptom, 100%. All right. You've got low energy no matter what you do. Right, so you sit on the sofa and you've got low energy. You actually go to a gym class, you've still got low energy, right? It's really difficult because at some point you end up thinking, well, what's the fucking point? Because nothing's going to make me feel better. But it is, I promise you, all right? You also feel overwhelmed and overstimulated. So even though, and I found this was a new thing for me, right? I could be sitting on the sofa with zero energy, like literally it was a struggle to pick my phone up. right? But also in the same moment of sitting on the sofa with no energy, couldn't actually shut my brain down. It was like busy brain. Busy brain, right? So I was constantly scrolling on socials, right? That makes it worse because it makes you compare with everything. So even though your body's feeling fatigued, and even though your brain can't actually string a sentence together to get it out your mouth, you can still have anxiety and your brain just like overworking constantly and overthinking, and you can't think about it, and you're literally like a 5-year-old child that just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. That's your brain, right? So it's really, really difficult, all right? And you just feel you're just done. You're absolutely knackered, right? All of those things tell you that your body and your brain is genuinely asking for a rest, right? So the best thing we can do for rest is sleep, right? It's when our body repairs itself. It's when our brain repairs itself. And if you think about, so your brain processes when you're sleeping, your brain processes all the information that it's seen, that it's heard, that it's spoke about throughout the day, right? And it disregards the stuff that's shite, basically, that you don't need to retain. And then it files away the stuff that you need to retain, right? Now, if you're not sleeping properly, your brain's not getting a chance to do that. So it's maybe half emptying. And then tomorrow you're going to deal with the other 3,000 decisions that you need to make. And that gets papped on top of the half full brain that you've got already, as opposed to the empty brain. All right. So it's a continuation, and it's really, really difficult. All right. Also, if you're not sleeping properly, your body's not getting a chance to repair itself. So if your joints were sore yesterday and you didn't sleep well, your joints are going to be sore this morning. All right. So your body and your brain literally repair themselves when you're sleeping. And if you're not getting enough sleep or good quality sleep, then you're just going to be waking up the next morning not feeling fresh. All right. And that's really, really difficult. And that's your body genuinely asking for a rest. So at that point, you need to think about taking some time out, right? And don't tell me that's not a possibility. Don't tell me that you don't have time because you feel the way that you are just now because you've been telling me and everybody else that you don't have time, right? So you need to make some time. That's hard, I know, but the alternative is that you keep going, right? And you're actually going to end up really, really ill, and that's not cool, all right? So that's genuine fatigue, all right? When you've been doing everything, you're not sleeping well, you've got low energy. It doesn't matter what you eat, how much you eat, how little you eat, your energy does not improve, all right? Your body's not getting a chance to repair itself. Your brain's not getting a chance to repair itself. You feel overwhelmed, overstimulated, you hurt all over, all right? Those are classic examples and signs of fatigue, all right? Midlife fatigue. You need to take a break, all right? Lazy, on the other hand, well, don't get me started. And I'm not slating sitting on the sofa, all right? I sit on the sofa, sit on the sofa every night. Me and Carl watched telly, watched MasterChef last night. It was very good, by the way. While we were having our chicken and salad, because we're all over. However, in a previous life, when we were both a bit chonky, we have totally sat and watched MasterChef while having a doner kebab. I also thoroughly recommend it every now and again, right? But I'm speaking about constantly being lazy, right? We're not, everything I speak about is constants. I'm not speaking about the odd occasion, right? Odd occasions are totally cool, right? So lazy is you have actually had the time to do something, but you've avoided it. So, for example, you're telling me that you don't have time to go for a mile walk, which takes 20 minutes, all right? But you've actually sat on the sofa for 40 minutes and scrolled through Instagram, all right? That's being lazy when you know that you need to go and do your steps. So that's lazy, all right? You feel fine physically, all right? So your brain's not about to explode. Well done, all right? Your body doesn't hurt. There's actually nothing stopping you. You just cannot be arsed, right? You're just unmotivated. So physically wise and brain wise, there's nothing stopping you from actually doing that gym session or doing that walk or whatever, all right? You just can't be fucked, right? That's being lazy. You're scrolling, procrastinating, and you're just stuck in that meh. That just meh, cannot be arsed, all right? So most people, when they tell me they don't have time, and I have absolutely done this myself in the past, right? I don't have time for that. That's pretty much you giving me the finger and saying, I don't want to do it. True story, by the way. All right. So, also, you know we all know this, right? We all know what we should be doing, but we all know that if we got off our arse and prepped that meal, that healthy meal, right? Or if we got off our arse and moved, we all know that it would make us feel better, but we still don't do it. That's laziness. Yeah. So this isn't about energy, right? That's not about having enough energy. That's not about being fatigued. That's about avoidance. So that's the difference, right? So the tricky bit, very tricky bit for midlife women, right, is we are often tired, right? And we often call it lazy. So we can all be tired sometimes and we can all be lazy sometimes, right? That's cool. Honestly, right now, right, I'm back a week's holiday. I've went at it full pelt Monday to Friday, right? We're training, we're catching up with all my clients, we're getting all my shit done, getting all my work done and stuff, right? And I kid you not, see on Sunday, it's crossed my mind a couple of times, right, that I'm thinking that I can't think of anything better than a winter Sunday, right? Which obviously we're slap bang in the middle of summer, so that's not going to happen. But a winter Sunday when we can have coffee in bed, all right, it's actually pissing down outside, it's freezing cold. Move to the sofa, put the fire on at like 10 o'clock in the morning, eat our breakfast in front of the fire, keep the fire on all day, and just watch films or a box set on the telly. Literally. Would actually sell my soul for that at the moment, just because I've had a busy week. I've had a very social holiday, which has been lovely. Has been lovely, but the thought of that anyway, right? So that's perfectly acceptable, right? We all like to be lazy every now and again. I'm speaking about consistency, right? So if you're having a bad day or you're having a lazy hour, right, that's okay. But if you find that that lazy hour is taking up to 3 hours and it's happening every single day, then we maybe have a bit of a problem, all right? So you need to find the balance for you to justify to yourself, and you need to decide whether you are just being lazy and you can push through. Like, could you actually get off your arse and go and sort that meal out, or get off your arse and go for a 20-minute walk, right? Because going for a 20-minute walk will make you feel better than having a 20-minute nap or for sitting on the sofa scrolling Instagram for 20 minutes, right? And we know that. So sometimes we need to actually be adults. We're educated midlife women. I mean, come on, why would we not adult all the time? All right. But other times you just need to give in, right? And admit that you've got fatigue and start looking at how you can fix that. All right. So pushing through when you're absolutely dying and hurting and in pain, right, and not sleeping, and then guilting yourself into doing the workouts at those times, right, is going to make you feel worse. Of course it is, mentally and physically, it's going to make yourself feel worse. So I need you to start believing, first of all, I need you to determine whether you're being lazy or whether you've got fatigue, right? And if you've got midlife fatigue, you need to think about that rest is actually productive, right? So for example, training wise, I do CrossFit. You all know that I do CrossFit, all right, because I love it and I plaster it all over my socials. But when we're in the CrossFit gym, right, lifting barbells and hanging off of bars and climbing ropes and stuff like that, right, even though we're using our muscles there, that's not actually when muscle is built. That's when we're tearing our muscles. The days that we rest, right, so I have one rest day a week, all right? The days that we rest, that's the days that we build muscle. That's when your muscle repairs itself and it builds, right? So that's when it's the same as when you're sleeping. That's when your muscles rest and they repair itself. That's when your brain rests and it repairs itself. That's when your body rests and it repairs itself, all right? So rest is productive and absolutely can be productive. And I want you to think about tying in your laziness with your rest, all right? Because then it's acceptable and you can justify it to yourself. It's not a problem. All right. Listening to your body. Listening to your body is absolutely massive, right? But it can also be a very easy excuse to make for ourselves. Oh, you know, I'm really tired. I'm just going to have a day off. I'll just have an extra day off, when you know that you could probably push through and have your rest day tomorrow as planned, all right? So this is all about doing deals with yourself and learning how your body and how your brain is work. And also, you don't have to earn rest with exhaustion, all right? So you don't have to be like totally fatigued and totally exhausted to have a rest day, right? Or to not go to that gym session or to sit on the sofa. You need to find the balance that works for you, all right? So rest-wise and training-wise, what works for me now is that I will train Monday, Tuesday, have a rest day on a Wednesday, train Thursday, Friday, Saturday, go for a run on a Sunday, all right? That's what works for me. That has taken me 2 years to figure that out, all right? And I've went from one extreme, as in I am not training today, which I've said like 6 days in a row, right? To reintroducing exercise back into my life, like 1 session, 2 sessions a week, 3 sessions a week, etc., etc. So it's about what works for you, like everything with my coaching, all right? I will give my clients advice, I will give them top tips, I will tell them what works for me, I will tell them what works scientifically, right? And then they need to try all of those things and see what works for them. This is the same for this podcast. This is exactly what I'm asking you to do, all right? I just pass on information, but you need to be in the position that you're going to try stuff and find out what works for you, all right? Do not be a martyr for your health, all right? Do not batter on and batter on and batter on when you are clearly exhausted. You need to move your body when your body is ready, but you also need to rest when your body is asking and your brain is asking for rest, right? Both of these are valid, both of them are valuable, and both of them will bring you progress. All right. If you take one thing from this podcast, please remember that rest is not a weakness, but also please remember that battling through is not a strength. Neither. The two of them are very, very connected, all right? Midlife fatigue is real. It is an actual perimenal symptom, all right? But so is your ability. So fatigue is real. Midlife fatigue is real, right? But your ability to change the way you see yourself and to make some changes to your lifestyle is also real. So it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter where you are in the deep dark depths of midlife or the deep dark depths of the perimenal, all right? You can make changes. It may seem, and I did feel like this, that you were at rock bottom, right? And maybe you are at rock bottom, but breaking down things and doing one tiny little thing today that's going to make you feel a bit better is the start to changing your life and changing your thought process, all right? Once you understand the difference between genuine fatigue and you being a lazy cow, right, it will make a massive difference. It will stop the guilt and it will allow you to make changes that actually work for you. So go and get yourself a cuppa. Go for a lie down if you need it. I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye.